I'm always on the hunt for used PC hardware, and 2024 brought some great deals my way. One of the best deals I found was this RX 3050 for only $50. It is an Asus Phoenix model with 6 GB of VRAM. I got lucky with this one in more ways than one. I saw the post within minutes of it being listed on Marketplace, so I was the first one to respond. I was suspicious of the abnormally low price, but the seller claimed it was in good working condition. The card looked clean with no visible damage, so for $50 I couldn't say no. But I soon realized there was a reason this card looked a little funny. It was missing the I/O shield on the back of the GPU. I rushed home to test the card and it worked perfectly, with temps staying under 70 degrees. My next step was to find a replacement I/O shield. The only decent options were on eBay and AliExpress, and everything on eBay was $20 or more, so I looked elsewhere. Having never ordered from AliExpress before, I was a little tentative. I was able to match the one in the pictures of this Asus Phoenix model to one on the site. I made sure it had the same number of HDMI display ports and screw holes. It just so happened that this one had a coupon for first-time buyers that would bring the total cost to 99 cents with free shipping. For only $1, I was more than willing to take a gamble on it. Less than 2 weeks later, the package arrived in a basic yellow envelope. The I/O shield was wrapped in plastic, keeping it protected all the way from China. I lined it up to the back of the GPU, and at first glance, it seemed to line up pretty well. Now I just needed to find some screws to fit these holes. I dug through a bag of excess case hardware in search of the solution. I found some that fit, but could only use the 4 screw holes above the ports because the other 2 vertical holes did not line up. It wasn't perfect, but it was sturdy enough to keep this GPU safely mounted into a PC. I took a gamble on this one, but it came out as a win in the long run, as I ended up with a perfect RTX 3050 for only $51. At the time of making this, the cheapest 3050 is still selling for $170. Pretty surprising that a card with 1660 Ti performance is still selling for that much, when you can get a much stronger RX 6600 for not much more. At least it has DLSS and other NVIDIA features going for it. And speaking of the RX 6600, that leads me to one of my other cracking GPU deals of 2024. I was able to score this XFX Speedster Swift 210 RX 6600 for only $100. This deal was a little more straightforward. I had previously seen it listed for $160, but wasn't intrigued at that price. A few weeks later, I had seen the seller lower it to $120, and it still wasn't moving. I offered $100 and the seller accepted. We met at a Chick-fil-A parking lot for a typically awkward public meeting. I asked him why he was selling, and he said he upgraded to a 4060. He said he had changed the thermal paste on the card, which in the moment did worry me a little because I have no idea how good this guy's skills are at taking cards apart. Nonetheless, I proceeded to give him $100 and went home to test it. I ran it through some normal testing and it was working well, with temps staying around 64 degrees. This GPU is still going for over $200 from most retailers today, with Amazon having the best price at $220. Needless to say, this was an awesome deal, and I look forward to featuring it in an upcoming PC flip. And now for the best GPU deal of 2024, an AMD Radeon 6950 for $5. No, not that 6950, this 6950. The AMD Radeon HD 6950 2GB released in December of 2010. not to be confused with the RX 6950 XT released in 2020. You'll have to thank AMD for their genius naming conventions. With 1408 cores and 2 GB of GDDR5 at a 256-bit bus width, this GPU is lacking the horsepower for modern AAA games. Looking at Tech PowerUp's relative performance chart, it seems to be on par with a 750 Ti and about 15% slower than an RX 460. This purchase is honestly more of a novelty. I figured I may be able to get some kind of basic performance in older games, and I know that there are open source third-party drivers that may help me find some kind of use for this ancient piece of history, but I'll go down that rabbit hole another time. Even if I can't find a use for it, it's an interesting artifact to add to my retired GPU collection. Maybe I can use it for a retro gaming machine, or a low-power Minecraft or Roblox build for a young gamer's first PC. It could also make for a fun donor for practicing taking apart GPUs, since I have very limited experience doing so. With 2024 coming to a close, here's to 2025 being an even better year for used GPU deals. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.